Thank you, Chief Navarro, for taking the time to meet with us for the YMCA's Project S.N.U.G. And we are so happy about the association that we have with you. I just want to ask you just a few questions, if you don't mind. The first one is, how did you become involved with Project S.N.U.G?
Well, when the S.N.U.G grant first came down from the state, the commissioner asked me to serve as I was the precinct commander in the busy precinct where we were having a lot of gang-related activity and a lot of shootings. He asked me to serve on the committee to help get the S.N.U.G program off the ground. I met with Sean Howard and other members of the committee, became involved in the interview process to hire the people who were going to be working with the S.N.U.G program. And, you know, the department has wholeheartedly embraced the support of the S.N.U.G program from day one.
Great. Thank you very much. What impact do you feel that Yonkers YMCA S.N.U.G is having on the community of Yonkers?
S.N.U.G program has had a tremendous impact from the day it started in November of 2010 all throughout 2011. Is that right? Those are right dates, right? You can cut this out, right? You're going to edit this.
Magic of editing.
The S.N.U.G program has had a tremendous impact from the day they began in November of 2010. Throughout 2011, we have seen a significant drop in the number of shooting incidents. From 2010 to 2011, our shooting incidents dropped 38%. The number of actual shooting victims dropped 46%. And the number of our shooting fatalities dropped 29%.
That's wonderful.
We have seen a significant decrease in gang-related violence since the intervention of the S.N.U.G program on our streets.
Do you feel as though the police department and S.N.U.G have a good working relationship? And if not, what can we do to tweak it? Tell me a little bit about that relationship.
We have a very good relationship with the S.N.U.G members, the team members that go out into the streets. We have a good working relationship with the administration of the S.N.U.G team. The department works to support their activities, and they certainly work to support our activities, and that's something that we continually review. We do not want to do anything that's going to compromise the outreach workers in the field. We don't ask them to give us information that's shared with them in confidence that allows them to do their job, because we certainly don't want to put them at risk or endanger the working relationship they have with the gang members in the street. We understand that. We recognize that. We will work to support their efforts any way we can. We ask that they give us a general inclination if they know that there is trouble brewing, that they keep us advised of any issues that we ought to take a look at, and we do it in confidence with them. We meet regularly with the outreach workers and with the administration, and we constantly review our process to see if there are things that we can be doing better. And we intend to continue a working relationship with the S.N.U.G team as long as we have the program going.
And certainly S.N.U.G will wish to continue that relationship with you as well, so we certainly appreciate that. Is there anything else you want to add in regards to S.N.U.G overall?
I just want to say it's been a tremendous program for us. Any community that gets a S.N.U.G team up and running will certainly do a lot to improve the condition of life in their community.
Thank you very much, Chief Navarro, for your time and your support of S.N.U.G.
No problem.
Yes, my name is Charles Flip Barnett. I'm an outreach supervisor for Project S.N.U.G. that's run out of the Yonkers Family YMCA. Project S.N.U.G means gun spelled backwards. We deal with high-risk individuals from the ages of 16 to 26, either gang members, individuals who has a reputation for violence. What we try to do is show these individuals how to deal with conflict without pulling out a gun or shooting someone. And what we also do is try to change their whole mindset. Basically, right now I'm going to talk about the right workers for this job. When I say about right workers, you have to be, they call us credible messengers, meaning we all had a past. We all dealt in the streets, we did things in the streets that we ain't proud of, served time for, came back home and got our lives together. We believe well, we know because the stats say it that these gang people in the streets, these gang members in the streets, females and males, they're not trying to hear from a politician. They're not trying to hear from a dude in a three-piece suit. You know, they trying to see dudes who have lived that life, walk that walk. You know, that's how we get to them now. As far as the right workers, I mean, you got to be serious about your business. You got to be willing to be in the streets at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, you got to be willing to have your phone on 24/7. This way, if you get a conflict, a situation is about to happen, you got to be on that scene as quick as possible. It's like one of my co-workers said before, we in the streets more than we are with our families. If it's like the hotter the weather get, the more hours we in the streets. If there's a party going on, we out in the streets. Because what we do, we try to get to the situation before it becomes a mess. Meaning, if we get a call and somebody says, Group A has a problem with Group B, and it's going to turn into a deadly situation, we got to get to Group A and Group B and squash the beef. Another thing about the right workers, you have to love the streets. You have to love the streets because basically the streets is your job. You know, because you got to be in that street like maybe like 16, 15 hours a day, 15-hour days, and if you don't love the streets, you ain't right for this job. Another thing too, I get a lot of people coming to me asking me about, yo, Flip, I did time, I was in jail, such and such. Just because you was in jail, or just because you had a history with the streets, still don't make you the right worker. I mean, you can't toe two sides of the line. You either got to be with this, or you got to be with that. So it's a scary situation. Fortunately for us, I mean, we only had one problem, but we had to terminate somebody. But the team we got right now is a solid team. And you gotta know your coworkers. You gotta know what they're thinking, how they would think, how they think at a certain situation and all that. Because all that plays a major fact. All that plays a major fact. I mean, it's like, if I have a situation, one time I had a situation, and I didn't know the situation was gonna blow up. Like it would blow up. So I called one of my bosses about this, and I'm like, yo, it's a situation, but I think I can handle it. So he's like, yo, Flip, you sure you can handle it? I said, yo, I'm positive I can handle it. I hang up the phone, I see 20 dudes come around one corner, another 20 around, and I'm like, oh, wow. But him knowing me, and we having each other's back, he didn't pay attention to me. He came anyway. And you know, so right there, that was a blessing. You definitely have to be on point with this job. You got to be level-headed. You got to be able to think. And another thing that us and the team talk about, you got to be able to agree to disagree. You know, because I might want to do a situation one way, think it's best. A violent interrupter might want to do and think it's best. An outreach person might have his way. Since we don't start it, we've been up and running for like a year and some change now. I remember the month before Operation S.N.U.G started, in 1 month, I think it was the month of October 2010, it was 21 shootings in 22 days. 21 shootings in 22. Since we started in November, I think it may have been 2 shootings in our target zone and no killings. What I mean by target zone, we got a zone that's it's the most violence in Yonkers. It's like a zone with 35,000 people in it, 2 housing projects. But since Project S.N.U.G started, there's only been 2 shootings and 1 killing. Matter of fact, I believe shootings in our target zone went down 85%. Shootings in the city of Yonkers since S.N.U.G started went down 40%. Now, you know, I ain't gonna sit here and give S.N.U.G all the credit, but as far as Project S.N.U.G, the gang coalition, and the Yonkers PD, that's a major drop. That's a major drop. You know, and people ask us, how do we get to these kids to cooperate with what we do? Well, the main thing is the no snitch law. Like, we gather information from the police. Police give us the information, but the police respect that we can't give them no information. Because the first time the streets think we gave them information, we might as well close our doors. Because these kids ain't gonna tell us nothing. We ain't gonna be able to find nothing out. We ain't gonna get no intel or nothing. But yes, it went down 85%. And that's due to having the right workers.
Good afternoon, how you doing? My name is Hanif. I'm an outreach worker for Project S.N.U.G, and my topic today is dealing with the right participant. S.N.U.G is a program, anti-gang program, and the right participant for us consists of a person being from 16 to 25, being a weapons carrier, being an active member in a gang, consisting of high-risk activity, or having an influence to cause high-risk activity. And with the right participant, me being a case manager, our objective is to be an example for the person first, and then to follow the program or the steps of S.N.U.G, which is to, if he doesn't have an ID, to help him obtain identification, then to help him teach the process of filling a job application, or paying for a job application, how to get the interview on a job application. And we also consist of, if they're on parole, we teach them how to follow the instructions on parole, because they tell you what they want you to do, but they don't tell you how to go about doing it. And at the same time, we teach them that take the long road. Don't take the shortcut, because it's the shortcut that allows us the opportunity to mess up. You take the long way, you don't got to worry about doing that over. You can do it right the first time. So another thing we live by and showing, we teach them about having a right participant, is they have the computers that we use, they have the right standards for it. Does a person go to school? Does a person, you have an act out this week? Did you do this, that? It covers each criteria of the basic foundation of life, which is food, clothing, and shelter. And this is what we teach them. We teach them that there's no right way to do wrong. And you don't got to be an example like us that spent 13 years in jail doing the wrong thing to come home and have to start your life all over from scratch. And I'm thankful for the job opportunity that allows families like myself to have a job and be an example to give back to the community. So the rights participant is the one that's active in destruction. And with our program, we help them be a builder than a destroyer. And that individual, this deals with the law of attraction. So a lot of people see this individual fitting the age from 16 to 25, a gangbanger, doing this, that, and the third, change his life around, then people were able to see, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's the whole purpose of having the right participant.
Hi, I'm Eugene Jackson from Project S.N.U.G. I'm here today to talk about the right community, which is slow burn projects, aka the whole. Kind of chose that project because it's a low income housing project and it has a lot of dysfunctional kids. I hate to use that word dysfunctional, but a lot of the kids are dysfunctional. There's areas that we go to where there's issues and there's problems, and we try to take care of those issues and the problems. I feel that that's the right community and that's the right area to be. Those kids are having a lot of issues and a lot of problems because people are not talking with them and they're not working with them. My job is now, the participants I do have from that project, is sit down with them and get their lives together, try to help them get jobs, how to disconnect them from the dysfunctional way they're living. We know it's a better way of life. They know it's a better way of life. But if you don't have anybody to tell you or to pull you away from it, you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over. So me and my team, that's what we're a part of. This is what we're doing. We're trying to get to these kids and show them there's a better way of life. You know what I'm saying? I was a drug dealer in that project. I kind of helped put a little damage to it, so now I'm a grown man. Now I'm trying to live the right way, and I think I can help now. So that's what I'm here to help and here to do for Project S.N.U.G. That's my community, the whole.
Hello, yes, my name is Gregory Myers, aka Hamza. I am an outreach worker. I work for Project S.N.U.G. It's going to spell backwards. The right community is No Down Hill, where I work at. I have 15 participants off the hill, No Down Hill. I deal with shooters that's from the area. I deal with 14 and up to 24 years old kids from No Down Hill. Right now, No Down Hill, since we've been in existence, we have not a single shot or shooting on No Down Hill since a year now. I also deal with West Hab, that's on No Down Hill, on the bottom of No Down Hill, and at the top, 2 West Habs that I do deal with. I also work with all branches of West Hab. I'm also involved with the community cleanups on No Down Hill. We clean up Popular and all the streets, sweeping, clean up the garbage, and we also help them throw out the bigger trash to make the community on Elm Street look a little better. Right now, the youth that I'm dealing with right now is also offsprings of the violence. I'm also dealing with the neighborhood gangs. Everything right now is working out to a different type of environment. I'm also working with ShopRite, trying to put some of the youth working in ShopRite on 17th Riverdale, across from the YMCA. I'm also trying to find work in other popular places that will hire the youth on Elm Street that I am dealing with and working with. I'm also dealing with Ron's Trucking. That's a moving company helping the people from the community, which is No Down Hill, to work with Ron's Trucking. So I have the outreach capabilities to people to work with inside my community. So that makes No Down Hill the better, what is it?
The right community.
The right community.
Good evening, my name is Keith Gignon. I work for Project S.N.U.G out of the YMCA. I'm a violence interrupter, which deals in my daily basis of my job is to mediate in conflict situation that goes on between 2 or 3 other groups at a time. My job may be to step into a situation where there's a problem going on between 2 groups and the problem is getting ready to escalate to a situation where some violence could occur and someone could end up either hurt or dead or either in prison. So my job is to step in as the violence interrupter and try to talk to each side of the group, meaning one group might be A, the other group might be B. So when I step in, I might go talk to A first on a small scale, and I'll send one of my partners as far as Bosco to go over, or Cardell Walker to go talk to the other side of the group. And as we talk to them, we kind of come to a situation that we can mediate this problem without no violence erupting in the situation. So therefore, I might talk to the head of Group B, and one of my partners might talk to the head of Group C. So then we'll come together as one, and we'll talk and try to come to a final situation, so therefore it won't go on as far as things do go on. And every situation is not always completely done. So sometimes we would have to just temporarily, say it's solved for right now, and see what goes on for another day or two. Because you never know how people's minds think after you talk to them. But we always try to get to them clearly on the first shot to try to simmer the problem down. So as far as our work been going right now, and what we've been doing in the community, we've been doing a good job as far as keeping everything at an ease, calm situation, and with no violence erupting. We had a few situations in the town that we dealt with that was out of hand, and it gets out of hand. But that's our job, and we love to do our job. So that's why we put our time in the community and deal with the people that we have to deal with. Because ain't nobody's going to do this job like we do it. We really put our work forward and we put our hearts into it. And when you care about something and care about people, that's when your job will really get done. It ain't just on the basis of, oh, let's just go out here because it's a job. No, we go out here because we love what we do. And we want to save our young brothers and sisters in our community. And that's what I do as a violence interrupter.
Senator, thank you very much for taking the time to be available to us to talk a little bit about the Project S.N.U.G, which is taking place here in Yonkers. And we're really excited that it is a part of Yonkers. And we just wanted to ask you a few questions. Sure. We surely appreciate it. Why S.N.U.G?
Well, Yonkers, like so many communities across the nation, is plagued by gun violence. And every month we saw an increase in the number of mostly young people who were being shot and killed by senseless gun violence. I mean, we're all trying to stem the tide of guns into neighborhoods. But by the same token, they're still here. So the question is, what can we do to reduce the number of shootings in our area? And S.N.U.G is simply guns spelled backwards. And it was the initiative of the Senate Democrats, Malcolm Smith, actually, Senator Malcolm Smith. And it was an answer to a lot of different incidents that were also happening in New York City. We decided that we, as Democratic senators who represented so many districts where there was such an increase in gun violence, that we would put aside money and target it to specific areas that could benefit from increased participation, not only on a political level, but on a community level, with clergy, just all of us coming together with one purpose, which is to reduce gun violence. And so S.N.U.G was born, and then it was, where else besides New York City do we present S.N.U.G? And obviously I had a very strong case because of the numbers of shootings. I mean, I think the last month before S.N.U.G was actually introduced to Yonkers, there were about 21 shootings in as many days. So clearly we had a good argument for having S.N.U.G, the presence of S.N.U.G here, and we had a very, very strong partner. There was a process where we were going to determine exactly who, because you just don't give a pot of money and not know where it's going. In our case, it was $250,000, and we wanted to make sure that it was going to be administered by an organization that had the capacity and had the connections in the streets to be able to really meet the objectives. And so we were very, very happy to partner with the YMCA, and they had a partnership with other community organizations, including YCAP and the Never Hand Community Center, and together we went through a process that allowed us to identify people who maybe because of their past would never have been allowed to actually be considered for employment in certain areas. But for this particular project, because we needed people who were familiar with communities and who had probably experienced the more negative impacts of guns and what gun violence can bring to a neighborhood, to be part of it. But we had to get the right people, and the Y certainly helped with the cooperation of the Yonkers police to identify people who would really be on the front line of our defense against gun violence.
It's very interesting that S.N.U.G's been in place for about a year, and you said some wonderful things about its history, but there were a lot of questions, people feeling as though, is this a safe decision because you're using former incarcerated people.
That's right.
So there's a real challenge there. Now that S.N.U.G has been in operation for about a year, how do you feel as though S.N.U.G is having a positive impact in the city of Yonkers?
We, in the city of Yonkers, those of us who know the difference before and after S.N.U.G are so excited about the presence of S.N.U.G and the positive impact that it's had in terms of reducing gun violence in Yonkers. Gun violence went down 38% since the S.N.U.G teams have hit the street. And I run into people who are always trying to find out how they can become part of what they see as a very positive movement that not only saves lives, but creates a consciousness in the community that says, you know what, gun violence is not okay. You know, put your guns down. Obviously, we would like to have, you know, a total eradication of shootings and gun violence, but frankly, you know, with the S.N.U.G team, as well as, again, the sensitivity of the community, police, and just a variety and assortment of people, we are very pleased and proud with what S.N.U.G has accomplished. And frankly, you know, I'm pushing, as my other colleagues who have seen successful S.N.U.G programs in their areas are pushing to make sure that we continue the funding, because it's a very, very important and vital initiative.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time, and the only question that really I have left for you is, after you're finished with the office as senator, are you going to join Operation S.N.U.G?
Again, I'm hoping that gun violence will have ceased and shootings go down to zero, and we can go on to doing things that, again, make sure that the community is whole and healthy and educated and ready to progress to be the beneficiary, the wonderful opportunity that this community can be. So no, I'm hoping that when I'm through with Senate, the need for S.N.U.G will also be done.
Senator, thank you very much for taking the time.
Dr. Bostic, thank you very much for taking the time to be a part of our S.N.U.G interview, and we certainly appreciate the work that you do in connection with S.N.U.G. And I want to take a few moments just to simply ask you,
a little bit about the relationship of S.N.U.G with you. I know that you serve as the Executive Director for the Nepperhan Community Center and as leader of the local Gang and Violence Prevention Coalition. So it is my hope and prayer that you tell us a little bit about the relationship of S.N.U.G with the community.
Well, S.N.U.G is probably the most effective hands-on program that we've had since I've been in charge of the coalition, actually the founder and chairman of the Violence and Gang Prevention Coalition, for a number of reasons. First of all, we started the coalition about 7 years ago. And the purpose of the coalition was to bring the entire community, every entity within our community, together to fight against an issue that was plaguing our city, which was gang violence and just violence in general. We've done a number of different initiatives to address that, but we were missing a very, very key component, and that is that we did events and we did assemblies and we did education, but we did not have the arms and the legs and the mouthpiece on the ground in the community that were actually in the places where we call hot spots, where the trouble was its greatest. S.N.U.G, an acronym for Guns Spelled Backwards, which models itself after the Chicago ceasefire model, actually is a model that fits the void that we were lacking in our coalition. And so it was only a natural fit to integrate S.N.U.G into our overall coalition and plug in the area that we felt was our biggest gap, and that was to have a group of men, and you could have women, but in this case all men who were on the street and were doing interventions and creating dialogue with those who were perpetrating those kinds of acts on our streets and preventing so much of what we had seen occur here in the city of Yonkers: senseless shootings, senseless violence, retaliations, and all those kinds of things. So S.N.U.G in that regard has been a godsend to our city of Yonkers and certainly to our coalition. It's made our coalition whole and complete, and it is plugged in a hole that we otherwise did not have the means to plug in.
Now, in recent days, statistics have been announced that S.N.U.G has been successful in helping to reduce crime 38% in the city of Yonkers, and in the particular zones in which they monitor, those numbers were as high as 85%. So it's been a very, very effective process. Do you feel as though there's some way that came about because of the coalition with S.N.U.G together?
Without a doubt. First of all, no single entity within our community can address street violence and gang violence by itself and rid that community of the problem. And the reason why that can't happen is because police have a specific function. I mean, on the card it says to serve and protect, but the reality of it is police respond after crimes have taken place about 90+% of the time, which means that the damage for the most part has already been done. But what the coalition does and how S.N.U.G fits into that is, for example, we have the Yonkers Public Schools, where we have people in the schools talking to students in assemblies and educating them against violence and gangs. We have a faith-based coalition of churches and pastors that are praying for our community and who sponsor services and programs and speak to their congregants over their pulpits with regards to their issues. We have business people who are trying to work with us to help provide employment opportunities to get some of this targeted population off the street and give them viable employment. We have the DA's office who works with us in sentencing, and so working so that these guys are put into programs that help them as opposed to long-term sentencing. So we have a number of different entities like that that are addressing the problem in a lot of different areas, none of which could do it by themselves because they all serve very different functions. But when you put the pieces together as a whole and you plug in Project S.N.U.G, which is brothers on the ground doing the by word of mouth interventions and counseling and mentoring to these young men who are living this lifestyle. Now you have an entire community working as one and serving as one body, addressing a problem, and you have a greater possibility of reducing and minimizing the problem. And so S.N.U.G has done a brilliant job of going places that none of those other organizations could go, because they're not built for that, they don't have the manpower for that, they don't have the trained personnel to do that. But because S.N.U.G requires people who have had a past and have understand the streets, because they made a living off of the streets, so they can speak that language, and in some cases are recognizable because of the past that they lived. And that makes all the difference in the world. I sit behind a desk with a suit on. They may know who I am in the streets, but I may not be able to speak that language like the men from Project S.N.U.G do. And that makes a significant difference. And yes, it has contributed to the reduction in crime immensely here in our city.
Dr. Bostic, what do you believe the end result of S.N.U.G will be in the city of Yonkers?
I pray that the end result of S.N.U.G will be government and private agencies and organizations coming together, realizing the value of this city to our overall crime reduction in our city, and coming up with the necessary long-term and sustainable funding to keep Project S.N.U.G not only operating at the level that it is, but increasing its ability, its personnel, its range of services that you guys now do with such excellence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bostic, for taking the time and also for the time that you give to help make Project S.N.U.G successful in the city of Yonkers.
You're welcome. I'm glad to do it. Thank you so much.
I've been asked to speak a little bit about what makes S.N.U.G effective. One of the things that I believe has been a key factor has been our relationship with the police department and the ability for us to be able to collect data. The right data allows us to be able to know that we're in the right locations, that we're serving the right people, that the challenges that face our community are the right ones. When we began S.N.U.G in Yonkers, what we did was we went to the police department and we collected their crime data, and we looked at the most violent crimes. We looked to see what times, what hours, what places the shootings were taking place. When we realized that we had the right information, then it was easy to design and dispatch a team to the community that needed us most. In our case, we selected 2 communities at the beginning, and what we've done since then is that we continue to go back and review the data. So I meet regularly with the gang prevention unit of our local police department. I meet with the precinct captains of the 2 precincts, the 3rd and 4th precincts of Yonkers. So we have the opportunity to have continual conversation about whether or not we're having an effect here in Yonkers. The other thing that really makes this work is the sense of accountability from the workers of S.N.U.G. Every day, not every week, not every month, they have to enter data in the computer. Now, again, understanding that many of the guys who come and work for S.N.U.G or Project Ceasefire, which is the mother organization, don't have a background in computers. We have simplified the data system, so all they need to do is every day enter no-name data, meaning that we keep the confidentiality of each client. We're very careful about how we serve them, how we work with them, and what we do. In that way, we are able to review whether or not we are being successful. So we look and we see whether or not the young people are changing, and I'm so excited about the fact that we've had some wonderful successes here in Yonkers. We have young people that we've been able to support with employment training programs, young people that we've been able to support with education, young people who come here for recreational activities. I think that it's great because S.N.U.G has the ability to continue to look at the data. We're not guessing. We don't guess. We are strategic about making a difference. And if we're going to see S.N.U.G continue to change the lives of people, we're going to continue to stay strategic. So it's all about changing lives. The right information makes a difference. The right data makes a difference. The right accountability makes the difference. Ms. Howard, you serve as the CEO for the Yonkers Family YMCA. And it's really your brainchild to have S.N.U.G as a part of this facility. And it was my hope that you would explain to us why the why.
Why the why? Well, as you know, the YMCA is for youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. And the S.N.U.G program, we're serving young adults here, young adults who have had run-ins with the law, young adults who we are trying to help them get their life on the right track, turn them away from a life of violence, teach them another way, give them other alternatives to street life, to crime, to handling conflicts in a violent fashion. And so that is the way that we choose to address youth development on that level. Healthy living. It's very difficult for a community to be engaged in healthy activities. Activities like walking in the neighborhood, taking your kids out to the park, when there are shootings, when there are gangs, when there is such violence being perpetuated in your neighborhood. So when we're able to have a project like S.N.U.G reduce the level of violence and shootings in a neighborhood by as much as 85%, that helps to increase healthy living. People feel much freer about just going back out into their neighborhood and engaging in activities that many of us take for granted, just taking a walk, taking our kids to the park. Those exercises are free. And when we keep people bottled up in their houses and the kids playing the video games because they can't do something as simple as going outside to play, it really restricts opportunities at healthy living for people who are socioeconomically challenged. So that really helps the Y to address the issue of healthy living in urban areas. And when you talk about social responsibility, it is the social responsible thing to do. Our community is plagued with violence. We're plagued with generational poverty. We're plagued with young people who feel that they have no alternatives to street crime and violence. And the YMCA has been an anchor agency in the city of Yonkers for almost 130 years now. And so S.N.U.G was a way for us to address the issue of shooting violence. We experienced 27 shootings in a 20-day period. And when the senator and the City of Yonkers Police Department said that they needed a way to address this type of violence, the YMCA stepped up and we said we would be willing to be partners with the community of Yonkers. And it has been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Yes, it is a non-traditional YMCA program, but it's worked. We've been able to open not only our building, but expand our role in the community in another way. And it's been a tremendous partnership with not only the elected officials and the police department, but over 20, 30 agencies in the community. And I think we've made an incredible impact. And we're looking to make an impact. The why is what the community needs it to be. And I think S.N.U.G is definitely an incredible response.
Two major statistics were mentioned in this process. One, that crime is down overall for the last year, 38%.
Yes.
And of course with that, as the beginning, 85% in the particular communities that S.N.U.G monitors.
Yes.
So with those kind of powerful statistics, what do you hope will happen with S.N.U.G as we move forward?
Well, as we move forward, yes, we see that crime is down across the city 38%. We would like to be able to move into the neighborhoods that we have not been able to specifically target and help to reduce the numbers in those neighborhoods as well. The police department would love to see us move into the areas of Saratoga and Carroll Avenue, further in the Southwest Corridor, closer to the Bronx, where the numbers are still higher than what we're experiencing in our specific target area. And I believe that if we're able to do that and work with our partners and make those strategic alliances, that we will see a reduction of crime, a greater reduction of crime in those areas as well. It's not the YMCA doing it by ourselves. It's us doing it with the partners and with the community's help. So once again, youth development, healthy living, social responsibility. I think the Y responds to the community need, and that's why it is such a successful project.
Ms. Howard, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about S.N.U.G. And I certainly hope that other YMCAs will consider giving attention to this particular model.
It is a very powerful and impactful program, and we're just very proud to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.